which have no lawful authority over us, even to assert payment of these purported debts, these falsified debts. And they have concern whether the courts and the whatever legal authorities, district attorneys and all, will have our back on this. Will they support the people, or will they support the bad guys in power who represent the banking system at our terminal cost even? Well, the world may be pretty close to that bat off. I don't see much point in arguing one way or the other, especially when before us we have the opportunity to prove once and for all what we are about. What this situation has been reduced to is a complete elimination of need for any radical, truly radical, that is violent, exercise to enforce or assertion of these rights to mathematically perfected economy and absolute consensual representation. So, given each juncture of the possible pursuit of this inevitably recognized human right, personally, I bet on the integrity of the courts. I bet on the integrity of lawful authorities. I bet that the sheriff will, of good sheriffs who have maintained and are interested in maintaining good relations with the people that they work with, that they will say that they will back the people, that no, this friend of mine or these people of my town who are being dispossessed of their houses purportedly because they're behind on their payments, when in fact they're far, far, far ahead on the actual promissory obligation, which they should and would have incurred, and which would have been allowed to them if we did not exist under an usurpation of representation. I wager that the sheriff will stand by the people, that the sheriff will notify the the repossessors that they're not welcome in their town, and that they'll lock them up until this issue is decided in court of law. And I wager that the courts will back us up, that the judge will look at our arguments of inevitable failure, of unlawful and unrightful obfuscation of our promissory obligations to each other as the ancient ruse that it is, that the courts will decide willingly of their own volition to back us up on our arguments, that we can resolve, each of us, these artificial debts by issuing like irredeemable promises to pay, because no law can establish any other justice whatsoever. I wager that the courts will back us up on that. I wager likewise that if the sheriffs did not do so and the courts did not do so, that we would find, nevertheless, in sufficient places in the land, district attorneys who would be fully willing to prosecute the courts, the jurors, the sheriffs, who did not uphold our claims to absolute consensual representation and mathematically perfected economy. And that the beginnings of this, wherever it begins, would be enough to generate the inertia behind which other courts would concur, other sheriffs would concur, other district attorneys would concur. And so I wager that there is no more expedient way, there is no more right way, there is no way which eliminates all possible legitimate objection, but the exercising of this mandate for mathematically perfected economy and absolute consensual representation, which mandate guarantees this right to the sovereign individual. It doesn't even require waiting for an eventual majority to amass. So, in addition to signing the mandate, there are a number of forms that I'm authoring which once you sign the mandate online in our eventual web presence, perfectedeconomy.org, you will use these forms just as formalities to declare your position, to impress upon the sheriffs, the courts, the district attorneys, or their equivalents in whatever country of consideration, that there is public inertia to accomplish this. After all, there is no other solution of the affairs before us, and there is no preferable object of whatever endeavors we might engage in to save ourselves from inherent, inevitable monetary failure. In fact, an inevitable, inherent monetary failure that I projected over 40 years ago, which was very accurately projected by computer models that I provided the Reagan administration, which models simply reborrowed the principal and interest which was necessary to maintain a vital circulation at the projected interest rates, which rates had to be lowered to what they did by a pattern of logic which allowed us to skate the edge of failure all this while until there was no more wiggle room. And the outstanding rates of interest were enough to bring us down. So, in fact, the outstanding principal that we owe is enough to bring us down because it's so far greater than, the minuscule circulation which exists. So, what it comes down to is not that there is a question of implementation. It's a matter of deciding implementation, but first deciding whether or not we are going to adopt solution. Now, of course, we sing over here, the land of the free, and the home of the brave, and we can hardly regard ourselves as such if we're too timid to sign a mandate and submit a few forms notifying sheriffs, courts, and district attorneys what we're going to do. And then perhaps, the more timid of us fear seizing payment of taxes or submitting an irredeemable promise to pay to the purported financial system to pay off these obfuscated, falsified, artificial debts. Nonetheless, some of the more courageous, more principled, or more compelled of us will, however, dare to do so. And these are the tools by which to effectively do so. To master these arguments, of inevitable failure, of an unjustifiable obfuscation of the currency, being responsible for all of these injustices, including inevitable terminal failure, which we can only evade, the injustice of which we can only evade by mathematically perfected economy, the need for which comprises an immediate need to transition to mathematically perfected economy. So whether or not we will do this is a greater question than the rhetorical question of implementation. And yet I don't think that's a very great question at all, because in truth, across every country of the world, the people have no other choice, and certainly they have no better choice. So that's the real question before us. Thanks for listening. It's an honor to be heard at a time when we so direly need to understand these vital issues.